Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Chris Peplinski movie blog. I know while many others are probably excited watching the Super Bowl thing, which quite frankly isn't my thing since I'm not really a big football fan. So anyway, I figured today's discussion would be something that I thought would be really interesting to talk about is the movie Blade Runner 2049, which happens to be, a sequel, to the Blade Runner 17 or 2019, whatever. And even though in real time it's 35 years since, the original movie came out back in 82, but in the film's storyline it's like 30 years after the events of the first movie. So I figured what makes this movie particular interest to talk about, since I figured it was one of the movies that I missed out on my 30th birthday when it came out back in October. So, what to say about Blade Runner, the 2049 movie? Well, in this particular case, this time around, it focuses on a Blade Runner called K, which played by Ryan Gosling, who knows that he's a replicant. Which basically, for people that may have not seen the original Blade Runner movie, replicants are like clones of humans, almost like, I don't know, maybe like androids and things like that. So in this one, Kate knows is aware that he's a replicant. Like in the original Blade Runner movie, where it was kind of ambiguous whether Deckard, the original Blade Runner, was human or replicant, and it's something that still kind of remains mysterious even in the Blade Runner sequel. I would say, in terms of the Blade Runner sequel, I wish that Harrison Ford would have had much more on-screen time, since I know most of the movie revolves around Kate trying to find Deckard's character, who doesn't appear until like an hour and 46 minutes into the movie. But I was like, why is it that Harrison Ford gets second billing if he doesn't really have what I consider a substantial role in the movie? But I guess he probably got paid a lot of money to do the movie, but it was nice to see Harrison Ford back in one of his signature roles again, and of course Edward Olmos, who played Gaff in the original Blade Runner movie, also comes back, but more like in a cameo role rather than the larger role like in the original movie. And of course the film goes more into like the concept of like the replicants and the humans, and almost like the replicants are like the slaves of humanity, and eventually the film, goes about suggesting, I guess, an eventual uprising between the replicants and humans would emerge, which I think would be an interesting storyline for the third Blade Runner movie if they decide, to pursue it in that direction. So, I mean, I know some people are saying like the Blade Runner 2049 movie, probably could have been nominated for a Best Picture, which I'm surprised it wasn't, but at least got nominated for best, cinematography and production design and things like that, which I thought was at least nice. It got nominated in the visual categories, even though I personally think it would have been better as a best pick nominee, since visually it's a very very stunning movie, and it has an awesome musical score. I mean, maybe they could have cut out like a half an hour out of it, to speed it up, even though I personally think that the movie seems to move along rather quickly, even though it's almost like, 3 hours, long. And what else could I say about it? I mean, like I said, wish, well, Ryan Gosling did a good job playing the K character, but I just wish, Harrison Ford would have had more on screen, time, considering, it's been almost, 35 years between the first and the second movie. But hopefully we'll see what happens for the next installment. And I know people were kind of like surprised. Why is it that Blade Runner 2049, I guess, wasn't a box office hit? Like they thought it would be, despite the good reviews. But I think, quite frankly, it had to do with, I think, the way they promoted the movie, and I guess the advertising, and kind of like Blade Runner 2049 was more for like nostalgia, for fans that were hardcore fans of the original Blade Runner movie. But it kind of reminds me of the situation with the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which that movie did a lot better than they expected. But the difference between the two movies was that the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is a standalone sequel and didn't really have to rely on the first Jumanji movie for fans to see it. Thus, why I guess it was more popular at the box office, even though that doesn't always mean, better quality, but that's the way it is in Hollywood. So I would definitely say for fans that seen the original Blade Runner, I would definitely say, see this particular, film, just to see, what other adventures are happen to, Rick Deckard since the events of the first, Blade Runner movie. And I guess I just wanted to say to my fans out there, thank you again for watching and listening to what I had to say about the movie. Okay, thanks.